Hey, Chris from the Mighty Decibel here. Welcome back. It's the end of the month, which means it's time for us to name our fave albums of August 2022. And as usual, we'll name them in four categories: extreme metal, doom, hardcore punk, and hard and heavy. And we'll start with extreme metal, which we split into three subcategories, the first one being black metal. So I've got one shout out and one highlighted release to talk about. And this month's black metal shoutout goes to Ecuador's Vampiric Rites for their sophomore full length, the Wolves Howl to the Moon. So I'm not one that's big on atmospheric metal, black metal, and especially with the keyboards. But this time in this album by Vampiric Rites, they use it correctly here in that the keys are mainly background and atmospheric embellishment, whereas the blackness really hits hard. So it's a good one, especially for those like me that are wary of atmospheric black metal. Yeah, give this one a shot. But our highlighted black metal album of the month has to go to the self-titled release from Zabbeth. So it was only a few months ago that one of our highlighted black metal albums of the month was the self-titled debut by Elizabeth, which was an homage to Bathory's first, the debut album. So it's kind of surprising that here we are again, another album that is an homage to that same album. In this case, it's Malta's Zabbeth. So this one is even more faithful to the debut all the way through. And if I was to point at tracks to try out, I would suggest you try out Witchcraft, Sacrifice the Bitch, and Possession, and be transported back to 1984. On to thrash metal now, where we have one album to talk about, and our highlighted record is Conqueror's Vengueance by Peruvian heavies Old Sacrifice, their debut demo. So this one's an old school outing here, as Old Sacrifice sounds like they've worn the grooves off their first wave black thrash record collection, while the vocalist has studied at the Thomas G. Warrior School of Belching. A fun headbang of a record.
On every suit, and you can repair. This is a fact of that below, and you need to care. Fire, under the hell. Kill, everyone now.
On to death metal now. Shout out first to Grotesqueries for Haunted Mausoleum. So this is a cavern-dwelling, ultra-heavy outfit out of Boston, Massachusetts, a one-man band's debut 3-track EP. Check her out. In our highlighted death record of the month, though, we go to Florida. No surprise there. For Twisted Idols for Nihilism by Nuclear Christ. So this debut EP contains 6 tracks and over 20 minutes of speed-infatuated death. with dive bomb lead guitar salvos that'll leave you cowering in your puddles of your own urine, as subtle as a premeditated axe murder. On to doom metal now, and first of all we got to give a shout out to the Mighty Decibel faves Lucifer's Fall, who have issued a split album called Graveyard Rites. So the Australian unit's portion includes 3 tracks over 18 minutes, the highlight being the closing title track. Check that one out. A fantastic example of old school doom for you is the pick of the litter for August. It's the self-titled full length by Early Moods. So listening to this, you'd expect the band to be from Birmingham, England. But surprisingly, they come from the sunny climes of LA, California. So regardless, they have studied their Witchfinder general very well here. Oaken riffage, Iommi-esque lead guitar solos, and warbly vocals sure to make you headbang in no time. To our third category, which just happens to have the deepest well of strong material this month, that being hardcore punk. So 2 shout-outs first being to Swedish headbashers Wolf Brigade, who have issued a 3-track EP called Anti-Tank Dogs, which furthers the band's D-beat by way of death and rock and roll hip swivel activities. And the second one, waving the hardcore punk flag proud, is Colombia's System A, who have issued their sophomore EP Muerte. So that's noisy, confrontational, and unhinged. Great stuff. But our first highlighted hardcore punk record of the month is Enemigos de la Razon by Abyecta. So this is harried hardcore punk with elements of D-beat and speed metal. Accentuated by some truly unique vocals from guitarist vocalist Cannibalina. So this Chilean-based unit adds to the embarrassment of metal punk releases coming out this year.
¡Enemigos, enemigos, enemigos!
Next, we suggest that you check out Starvation by Spanish Warriors Depopulation Department. So this is another metal punk outing, this one mirroring speed metal with D-beat. The use of two vocalists here creating a unique sound to the release, so one of them being a hardcore spitter and the other one a death metal grunter. High energy blitzkrieg attack on the senses here. Onto our last category, hard and heavy, and you know the drill. It's basically everything else that's heavy that doesn't fit on our first three categories that we throw in here. But most of the time it's usually trad metal or hard rock. And in this case for August, it was very light, but it just happens to house what we think is the best album of the month, that being Those Who Hunt at Night by Kentucky trad metal unit Savage Master. So the masked instrumentalists continue to be led by the inimicable Stacy Savage, owner of some off-key warbling that reminds me of many of the old new wave of British heavy metal singers, high on enthusiasm rather than on professional metal singers, if you will. But who cares when you have such kick-ass songs of this type, classic metal dust-ups, and such an obvious we can't be beaten attitude that prevails here. Excellent true metal. Check her out. So there you have it, the Mighty Decibel's fave albums from August of 2022. If we missed anything, write down below so we can all check her out. Remember to check in every Monday for our new release Mondays. Tuesdays we have our curated playlists in 40 minutes. Wednesday we have our live and album reviews. And Thursdays we have our best of top 10s. You know where you can find it at our website, www.themightydecibel.com. Have a great one, eh? Bye.